Are we live? I think we are live. Now, if this is your first Apple Explained live stream, let me explain what this is all about. So, this is an Ask Me Anything. I make videos about Apple, and you can ask me about Apple or YouTube or my personal life, and I will answer your questions. Now, typically, we have over 200 people watching this live stream and chatting in the chat section. So, if you want me to answer your question for sure, there are two things you can do. You can send a super chat, which is a donation through the live chat area, and it'll highlight your question, and I'll be sure to answer it. If you don't do that, there's a second option. You can join our Discord server, because after this stream is over, I will be on the server. You can ask your question, and I'll answer all of those questions in a short Q&A video, one question per person on the Discord server. So be sure to join if you haven't already. Daniel should be posting a link to our Discord server in the chat in case you would like to join and get your question answered for sure. All right, so we already have almost 150 people watching this stream, which is incredible. Let me just give you guys an update on what I've been doing, because I had a really busy week. Last week, as you know, Apple announced the new iPhones, and they announced that the New York City Fifth Avenue store was being reopened the same day as the new iPhones were going on sale. And I thought, this is the perfect opportunity to witness the opening of an iconic Apple store and buy the newest iPhones and get to see Tim Cook in person since he was there. Also, I've been in the process of buying a Tesla Model 3. I just picked up my Tesla today, so if you want to ask questions about that, I can answer those as well. All right, so let's start taking questions. Joshua47 said, do you like Naruto or Boruto? I'm not sure who Boruto is, and I am not familiar with the Naruto series, so I can't really answer that question. Kim said, you look like Sheldon Cooper. I'm not sure who that is. Steven said, what do you think of the new iPhone 11? I think it's an incredible phone. I got a chance to see it in person when I was at the New York City Apple Store opening. And it's really a beautiful phone. The colors are great. The camera is amazing. I think it'll be a really nice update for people who have anything before the iPhone 10. ProGamer303 asked, what iPhone are you using now? Well, I'm glad you asked because when I was in New York City, I bought the new iPhone, and the model I chose was the iPhone 11 Pro Max. And what color did I get? White. So I got the white 11 Pro Max. I love it. It's a beautiful phone. I also bought with it the clear case. So that way, when I put the case on, you can actually see the beautiful...
I'm not sure I understand.
Hold on one second, you guys. As you can see, my camera has just died. So I'm going to try to transfer the video feed over to my computer's camera. Sorry about that. I guess there wasn't as much charge as I thought there was. Just give me 1 second. I'm trying to load my MacBook's camera here. The quality won't be as good, but it will be something so that we can still have a live stream. I'm sorry about that. All right, so you should be seeing a video feed very soon. All right, I think we are good to go. Okay, I'm gonna go back to answering questions. I apologize for that technical difficulty. All right, Alan asked, what options do you have on your Model 3? So I have the long-range Model 3 with the white exterior and the white interior and the 20-inch silver rims. So those were the options I got, and it bumped up the price quite a bit. Alexander wants me to show off the wide-angle lens on this new phone, so I can do that for you. So here is the I don't know if you can tell, standard lens. And this is the wide angle. As you can see, quite a bit more video, or quite a bit more content in the frame. So it's really nice. I especially love the selfie wide angle when you turn it into landscape. I did get autopilot. Yes, I did the full self-driving autopilot on my Model 3. So I pretty much got almost every option possible. It's pretty expensive. Andrew asked, should I buy an iPhone XS Max in 2019? You can. I don't think that would be a bad thing, especially considering if you get a good deal on the XS Max. The only differences between the XS Max and the 11 Pro Max is the camera system and battery life. And technically, the 11 Pro Max has a higher contrast ratio display and has a higher peak brightness, but those aren't things you'll really notice. It's not something I've noticed. And it does kind of have better speakers, but that's also not something you'll really notice. So I think the iPhone XS Max would be a good deal in 2019. We have some super chats that I missed. Our first super chat is from Hey Devin. Thank you, Devin. He said, how do you feel about IP11 4K camera using an 820p screen? I'm not sure if you're referring to a specific model of camera that's on the market. But to be honest, I'm not sure exactly of those specifications. An 820p screen is technically HD, so I imagine that would be fine because you're not actually playing the video back on the camera. You're just capturing the video with the camera and then transferring it to a device later on. So that sounds good to me. Apple Present said, did you upload the video from your GoPro when you went to the New York Apple store? That's a funny story. So if you guys don't know, I had originally planned on using a GoPro to capture all the footage I took in New York City. The problem was getting all of the accessories, the mounts, the frames, everything I needed to get the GoPro the way I wanted it, which was mounted on my chest, was a huge headache. I had to go to Micro Center 3 different times to get the right things because I got the wrong things at first. I even got an extra battery charger. And at the last minute, literally the night before I left for New York City, I decided not to use a GoPro and to instead use my iPhone's camera with a gimbal for stabilization. So I didn't actually use the GoPro, and I will be returning everything I bought from Micro Center. Mashraful asked, how much did your Tesla cost? It cost a little over $60,000. We have a second super chat from Jeremy Shearer. Thank you for that $2 super chat. They said, what is your opinion of the iPhone 8? I think the iPhone 8 is an outdated design. I think anyone buying a phone today, unless you're on a budget, should look at buying the iPhone 10. I mean, it's really modern technology at an affordable price. You can probably find it for about $500 or maybe even $450 today. Now, if you're looking for a budget phone, you can definitely look into the iPhone 8. You can even look into the iPhone 7, which isn't much older than the iPhone 8, and it's much more affordable. Cool Game 22 said, do you like yeet? I'm not sure what yeet is unless you're referring to the slang word yeet, in which case it can be funny at times. And they also said, do you remember me? Cool Game 22, I don't think I remember you. I apologize. Dave Moore, thank you for that $2 super chat. They said, is the 11 Pro really worth upgrading from the 10S? If you have a 10S, I would not recommend upgrading to the 11 Pro unless you're using your 10S for recording video or taking photos for your livelihood. Like if you're an Instagram influencer or you're doing something where you're taking photos and videos with your iPhone and that's how you make your money, it may be worth upgrading because the wide angle lens really is a game changer. I mean, I love the wide angle lens, especially recording video. Uday asked, which Apple Watch is better for a first-time smartwatch user? The GPS or cellular model or the aluminum or stainless steel model? If this is your first smartwatch, I recommend getting the GPS only Series 4 Apple Watch. You can get a Series 4 Apple Watch for a good deal right now since the new Series 5 was just introduced. And you don't need the expensive stainless steel model. That's just like a luxury upgrade that no one really needs. So that's what I would recommend. Hassan asked, why is Apple no longer innovating? I don't believe Apple is no longer innovating. In fact, I think these iPhones have some incredible innovations. I don't think Apple is getting enough credit for the battery life they've been able to put on these new iPhones. I mean, I charged my 11 Pro Max to 84% at 9 a.m. this morning. I haven't charged it since then. I've been using it throughout the day, and it's still at 53%. I mean, this phone could probably get me through 2 days of use. So I'm really happy with Apple's innovation level. And just keep in mind, we're not going to see big breakthroughs every single year. Apple has always had big years and iterative years. And this was one of those iPhone iterations. But we should note that this year's iPhone upgrade was much more significant than the 10S upgrade. And in next year, in 2020, those iPhones are going to be a huge upgrade. I mean, 2020 is going to be the big year. Braden asked, have you ever went to Apple Campus? Technically, I guess I did, although guests are not allowed inside of the actual headquarters. There are only like the visitors center and like a cafe you can go into. And I did go to the cafe, but this was before Apple's new Campus 2. This was Apple's original campus. I went there a few years ago. Sanju- Sanjukta asked, why is Apple so costly in India? If you watch one of my recent videos called Why Apple Products Are So Expensive Overseas, I actually talk a lot about why they're so expensive in India, and a lot of it has to do with tariffs. Lawrence asked, do you think the iPhone 11 Pro is worth it? Well, it depends. Do you have an iPhone XS? If so, it's probably not worth upgrading. Otherwise, I think it is worth it. Do you think iPhones need more RAM? This is the thing. Apple is not about putting in the biggest battery or putting in the most RAM. That's not necessarily a good thing. Bigger batteries take longer to charge. More RAM consumes more battery. So what you want is a efficient device, a device that can have a battery that is utilized in an efficient way, as well as the RAM. And Apple is incredible at utilizing RAM effectively and making iOS a low power consumption operating system, which is something Android has trouble with, which is why they have to include 8 gigabytes of RAM and a 4,500 milliamp battery. Pineapple on Pizza asked, what was Apple Fifth Avenue like? It was really beautiful. It doesn't look like any Apple store I've ever been to or even seen. There are similarities to other newer Apple stores, like the new one in Chicago. But I'm telling you, I took lots of footage, I took lots of photos, and I'm going to create a video outlining all of the updates they made to the store, all the cool features, and just sort of giving you a rundown of my experience in New York City. And I think you're going to be pretty impressed with what Apple has done with that store. It's been under construction for over 2 years, and it shows. It's just an incredible looking store. Daniel C., our moderator, sent a $2 super chat. Thank you, Daniel. He said, did you know we have a Discord? Yeah, if you guys want your questions answered for sure, make sure you join our Discord. After this stream, I will be there answering all of your questions in a Q&A video. We have another super chat from Marcus. Thank you for that super chat. He said, I skipped the iPhone line until they kill the notch. Some people still don't like the notch. I think most people have grown accustomed to it. I certainly have. And in fact, on the Max version of the iPhones, the notch is even less noticeable because it's the same size as on the smaller phone. So since you have that bigger display, it takes attention away even more from the notch. So I really don't have a problem with it at all. Apple said this video stream is kind of lagging. I'm not sure how to change that, to be honest. This is the first time I've live streamed with my MacBook's camera. So if it's lagging, I apologize. I hope my audio isn't lagging too much. AR76 said, wow, you look different. Yeah, I got a haircut recently. That might be why. Sarah Smith said, can we be friends? Join our Discord server, and then you'll be able to talk to me directly. We are all friends on the Discord server. Dane Reed said, I missed you at the Fifth Avenue store. Would have been great to meet. Were you there, Dane? That would have been awesome to meet. We have another super chat from Firas. Thank you, Firas, for the $5 super chat. He asked, how was your experience of the Fifth Avenue Apple Store in New York, and did you record it? Yes, it was an amazing experience. I actually had every intention of going there and standing in line overnight, but I didn't have to. I was actually able to go there and get a hotel and then just wake up a couple hours before the store opened and get in line. And it wasn't that long of a wait to get inside. So it was a great experience. I recorded as much as I could, and I even interviewed the first person who was in the line. So I think it's going to be a pretty cool video. I hope to have it up by the end of this week. Chase asked, what MacBook do you have? I have the Space Gray 15-inch MacBook Pro. AR76 said, I've been a subscriber since 100,000 subs. That is incredible. That's been a couple years. Nathan, yes, I am bi. Alan asked, should I buy a 12-inch MacBook or keep my late 2014 Mini? I'm assuming your Mac Mini? So if you're looking to switch from a desktop to a notebook, the 12-inch MacBook could be the perfect thing for you. You just have to think about what you're going to use it for. If you're doing any sort of heavy work, video editing, photo editing, I would not recommend the MacBook. It hangs, it's not powerful, it has a mobile processor, it's slow. So if you're just doing internet browsing, checking your email, writing papers, very light tasks, you can get by with a 12-inch MacBook. But what I would look into is the MacBook Air. You can get an older MacBook Air for a good price, and they're more powerful. Minzy, thank you for that $5 super chat. I really appreciate it. They said, are there any specific differences about the iPhone 11 that makes it better than the 10? Battery life, camera system, audio, and that's pretty much it. There are a few differences, but it may not be worth upgrading depending on your situation. Sheldon Williams, thank you again for that super chat of $2. He said, did you do any other fun things while in New York City? Well, I visited with my brother. My brother drove with me. It was a 10-hour drive. And we only stayed for one night. And then we drove back the following day. So the first night we were there, since we didn't have to stand in line, we just walked around Manhattan, and that was a lot of fun. We grabbed some pizza, some euros. It was a good time. But we didn't really do anything specific other than chill out at our hotel. Nylon YT said, where do you live? I live in Columbus, Ohio. Keegan asked, do you think Apple will ever make an actual television set? I don't think so. And it's because, one, people don't buy TVs very often. You can buy a TV and keep it for 5 or 10 years. And Apple wants to make products that have a higher turnover rate. So I think that's the main reason. I also don't think they can offer anything that will differentiate them from other TV manufacturers like Samsung or LG. So I don't think it makes sense for them to enter that market. I think focusing on things like the Apple TV, like a set-top box that gives you an incredible experience on any television set, is more of where Apple should be focused on. Daima, thank you so much for that $10 super chat. I really appreciate it. They asked, do you think the airport routers will ever have a comeback? No. I don't think Apple will ever bring back the airport routers. I think those are gone for good. I think they're going to leave it to third-party manufacturers to create routers and modems. And I think that's the right move. It does kind of suck because I do enjoy the design of Apple's airport routers, but I don't think those are ever coming back, unfortunately. Foxy asked, do you have Apple Arcade? I have not downloaded Apple Arcade. I'll probably do the 1-month free trial just to see what it's like, and it's free. But I don't think I will subscribe to it, mainly because I don't really play games on my iPad or iPhone. I play games on my Switch. NYCAV said, "You are Apple Explained. Why do you talk about other brands?" Because I don't want to be limited to only talking about Apple if there's some other tech topic that I really want to cover. My channel is sort of similar to Everything Apple Pro. I mean, yeah, he talks about Apple in most of his videos, but he also reviews Android products and talks about Huawei products. And iJustine, I mean, her name suggests that her channel is focused on Apple, but she does a whole bunch of different videos. She's sort of like a lifestyle channel. So I try not to limit myself to just talking about Apple. Sheezy, thank you so much for that $2 super chat. I think I recognize your name from last week. I really appreciate your support. He said, like the MacBook, changed my way of using a laptop. Yeah, if you're coming from Mac OS and using a MacBook from a PC, it's a really nice improvement. It's a really big change. Nicholas, thank you so much for your $8 Australian super chat, and thank you for watching all the way from Australia. He asked, what do you think are the benefits of buying an iPhone, for example, the 7 or 8, over a budget iPhone, a budget phone like the Oppo AX7? People always say just buy a cheap phone. Well, you're in Australia. This really depends on where you're at. For example, in China, they use an app called WeChat, and that's essentially like a mini operating system that operates inside of Android or iOS. So people in China buy cheap smartphones because they all run the same WeChat application. So it really doesn't make sense to pay more for something like an iPhone, which is why Apple is having trouble selling iPhones in China. But in terms of where you're at, Australia, the benefits are iOS. When you buy an iPhone, you are buying iOS. The software is amazing, it's easy to use, it's intuitive, it's fluid, the experience is unlike anything else out there, and that's why I stay with iPhone. Yaya, thank you so much for that $5 super chat. I really appreciate it. They asked, do you plan on getting one of the new iPhones, or will you get other Apple products as well? I already went to New York City for the grand reopening of the Fifth Avenue Apple Store, and I purchased the 11 Pro Max. I upgraded from my iPhone 10. I traded it in, and I got $400 off this new 11 Pro Max, and I love it so far. I love the big screen. I watch a lot of YouTube videos on my phone, so I really appreciate that size. It's Steel. Thank you so much for that $2 super chat. These super chats are coming in so quickly. I really appreciate it, you guys. It's Steel asked, are AirPods still worth it in 2019? Absolutely. You can go on eBay, buy some AirPods for maybe $40 or $50 off, and they'll still be good in 2019. Now, if you're buying the original generation, the original AirPods on eBay used, I wouldn't recommend it because the AirPod batteries can be worn out and they may only last a couple hours, which can be frustrating. But in terms of the new generation AirPods, I highly recommend them. They are great. Mishak said, when your album dropping, Lil Apple? Do you think I would make a good rapper? I'm not sure about that. Unsatisfying Potatoes said, what do you think of iPhone 11 triple camera design? I love it. I think it's incredible. I especially love the wide angle lens and the fact that you can seamlessly dial through each lens without even realizing it's switching between them. It's very seamless. I think Apple did an incredible job. Hassan asked, what are your thoughts on the midnight green color for the iPhone Pro models? I think it's a beautiful color. I'm just not a fan of colorful electronics. Like, I don't want to buy my iPhone in green because I'll probably get tired of it. And I don't think it's like a timeless color because next year, Apple's going to change the colors again, and then the green is going to be outdated. But I think something like white is timeless. I think it's beautiful, and I think it goes very well with the silver lens and the stainless steel frame. Dima, thank you so much for that $3 super chat. They said, talk about your Apple October event expectations. So I don't have many expectations for the October Mac event, but here's one thing I do want. I want the 16-inch MacBook Pro. If that is released in October, my wallet is in trouble because I really would love a 16-inch MacBook Pro that has a small bezel with rounded corners. I think that would just look beautiful. I think they're going to put an amazing display on it. The keyboard is going to be upgraded. So I'm really looking forward to the 16-inch MacBook Pro this October. DV in the House Man asked, iBook or MacBook? In terms of what? I think the iBook had a unique design, but I think the MacBook is a more modern design and has a more modern technology. Linus Gaming Tips said, starting in the next stream, enable slow mode to reduce spamming. Yeah, so I tried to enable slow mode like 3 weeks ago, and people said it wasn't working. I guess it's still not working, so I'll have to look into that. Thank you for letting me know. Green Living Philippines said, when will the iPhone SE 2 release? We have no idea. We thought it may be released this year, but it wasn't. Maybe sometime next year. Apple may not even release a new version of the iPhone SE. So we'll just have to wait and see. Sarisa said, is the MacBook Air 2017 worth it for college students? Yeah, definitely. I think the 2017 MacBook Air is a good price and it has the technology that college students need. And it'll last you quite a few years. Endtron Gaming said, would you get the newest iPhone every time one came out? No. So my last iPhone was the iPhone 10, so I waited 2 years for this version. The one before that was the iPhone 7, and then the one before that was the iPhone 5. So I usually wait a couple years in between iPhones. But I think I will upgrade next year because the 2020 iPhones are supposed to be such a big upgrade. Daniel C., our moderator, donated $5 with that super chat. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate it. They said, Greg, why don't you chat in Discord often? Are you going to try more often? Also, join our Discord server to chat with Greg and others. I try to check into Discord once a day, and then if I see any questions people have for me, I'll answer them and talk to whoever's online. But I cannot hang out on Discord all day or chat multiple times because that's actually really time consuming. And if I want to stay on schedule with my videos, if I want to have a social life, if I want to hang out with my family, I have to limit my time on Discord and limit my time on other things. RayCorp23 said, hey Greg, I'm in the market for a desktop, and he just retracted his message. Lawrence said, is the Mac Pro worth it? The new Mac Pro is definitely worth it. It is not overpriced. There's no desktop on the market that can compete with the Mac Pro. And there are desktops, PCs on the market that are more expensive than the Mac Pro. So it's definitely not overpriced. It's an amazing machine, and Pro customers will definitely be happy with it. Sheldon Williams, thank you for that $2 super chat. He asked, what are some features you're sad to not see this year? I'm assuming you're talking about on the iPhone. I was disappointed that there was no ProMotion, which I really enjoy on my iPad Pro, but I understand why they didn't include it because they were trying to save on battery life, and ProMotion takes up more battery. So I understand that, but I was kind of looking forward to it. I also thought it would be kind of cool to have reverse wireless charging, even though I'm not sure I would ever use it for my AirPods. It still would have been cool to have. I think we'll see those things next year. TechGeos1019 asked, did you see or meet Tim Cook at the reopening in New York? I did see him. I did not get to meet him. But I did get some footage of him walking around, so that will be in the video about the New York Apple Store. Loser Trash Tips said, Greg, when will you reach 1 million subs? Ooh, I cannot wait to reach 1 million. I mean, I don't even know. If my channel keeps getting subscribers at its current rate, it'll take about 3.5 to 4 years to reach 1 million subscribers, which isn't too bad. Firas, thank you so much for that second $2 super chat. I really appreciate your support. They said, did you meet Tim Cook? No, I did not get a chance to meet him, but I did see him in person, and I recorded some footage of him walking around the Apple Store. Seb said, hey Greg, what's your second favorite iPhone 11 color after white? My 7's battery is declining, so I think it's time for an upgrade. Just wish they had blue. Yeah, blue would have been awesome. I think blue would have been better than this green. People are going crazy over the green, and I'm not exactly sure why. It is a nice color. I'm just not that attracted to it. If you're not interested in the white, take a look at the gold or the space gray. The gold looks pretty nice. I like it better than the green. And I do think it's time for an upgrade if you still have an iPhone 7. And I think you may be able to trade it in and get some money off of the iPhone 11. Simple YouTuber said, do you think the iPhone yearly upgrade program is worth it? Or should I upgrade every couple years? It's hard to justify the price of the iPhone upgrade program. Really, the only reason why you should get it is if you buy Apple Care with every iPhone you get. If you do buy Apple Care with every iPhone and you upgrade every year, then I think the iPhone upgrade program is a good deal for you. But I would highly recommend keeping your iPhone for a couple years and then selling it yourself or even trading it in, and that would be a better value than the iPhone upgrade program. I rarely recommend that program to people. Protocat said, hey Greg, is the iPhone 11 that much bigger than the 11 Pro? It's not that much bigger. Unless you compare them side by side, you may not even notice the difference. Chang said, can you show us your new iPhone with the case on? Yeah, so this is the iPhone right here, and it has the case on it right now. This is the clear case, and I don't know if you can even tell there's a case because it is clear, but I really like this case because it's very grippy, and I can still see and appreciate the iPhone's beautiful design. The only problem I have with this case are the buttons. I wish Apple would have used like harder plastic for these buttons, because when you push the volume, they're kind of mushy, and I don't like that. But other than that, I think I'll get used to it, and I really like the case. Jonathan said, what do you do when you're not making videos? I like to take walks. I usually take a 1 to 2 hour walk every other day. I also swim laps. I haven't been doing that lately, but I do swim laps. I also hang out with my family a lot. I'm very close with my brother and my sisters and my parents, and we all live in the same city. I also enjoy relaxing and going out to the movie theater. Nylon YT said, do you like Honolulu? I've never been to Honolulu, but I would love to visit because I've heard really good things about that city. I've heard it's just beautiful. Alex asked, will you buy the iPhone Rebel cases? I don't know what those are, but the only cases I buy are Apple cases. Asia Gray asked, I'm really interested in getting an iPhone XS Max at a good price. Do you think eBay is a reliable source, or should I look elsewhere? Check out swappa.com. swappa.com. That's where I go to get all of my used Apple products usually, because typically you can find a better deal than on eBay at swappa.com. You should also look into Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp. Those are apps on the iPhone, and that will show you local people who are selling products, including the iPhone XS Max. And there are probably a lot of people selling their iPhone XS Maxes right now because they're looking to upgrade. So that's what I would recommend. Sheldon Williams, thank you so much for that $2 super chat. They said, have you ever had a bad experience with Apple? There was one time when I was buying the iPhone SE, and I bought it new from Apple. I was the first one in line because there really wasn't a line. There was like 8 people. The iPhone SE wasn't that big of a thing. The problem was the associate who helped me activate my phone didn't actually activate it. He just set it up. So when I left, the phone wasn't connected to the network, my Sprint network. And with Sprint, you cannot just switch out the SIM card to your new phone. That doesn't work. You have to actually activate it through Sprint and give them the IMEI number for them to actually activate it on their network. So I had to go back to the Apple store and try to figure out what was wrong. Well, the Genius Bar told me that it was the SIM card that was messed up. So I had to go to Sprint to get that switched out. So then I went to Sprint to get it switched out, and then they said, no, your SIM card is fine. That's actually Apple's SIM card. You have to go back to Apple. So then I went back to the Apple store, and then finally I had a good associate who was able to activate the phone properly. And I told her the whole story. Going back and forth between all the stores and then going home and trying to get this phone activated actually took 5 or 6 hours to finally get resolved. And she felt bad, so she let me pick out a case for free. So, I mean, that was a negative experience with Apple, but it ended in a good way. I was happy in the end because I got a free case. Alexandros said, is the Apple Watch Series 5 worth getting? I'm getting one soon since the Series 4 is now discontinued. Apple is still selling the Series 4 on their refurbished website. You can get that for like a $100 discount, which is great because the Series 4 and Series 5 are essentially the same except for the always-on display and the compass. If you're not really interested in the always-on display, get a used Series 4 Apple Watch. You can get a really good deal, and it's essentially the same thing. Tech Expert said, will you switch to Android if I gave you $100,000? Absolutely. For $100,000, I would switch to Android for 1 year, not forever, for 1 year. Orlando said, do you have kids? I do not have kids. RA Corp said, hey Greg, I'm in the market for a new desktop. Do you recommend the iMac, and which one? I do recommend the iMac. The standard iMac was updated, I think last year or the beginning of this year, and it makes it pretty comparable to the iMac Pro for a much cheaper price. So I would highly recommend the standard iMac, and if you can afford the 27-inch version, I think you would love it. Foxy the Fox Dude asked, do you like spicy food? I do like spicy food. I actually love these spicy noodles. Let me see if I have them. They're these spicy noodles that I get from my grocery store. I do not have any right now. But we have Kroger's where I'm at. And I buy these really spicy noodles that I love. I also like spicy Indian food. Jonathan said, will you address the bending issue of the iPad Pro? I don't think there really was a bending issue. Did the iPads bend easier than before? Yes, they did. But people who had bent iPads, first of all, there weren't as many as it appeared. Just like with the iPhone 4 antenna issue, there weren't as many as the media made it appear. If they did have a bent iPad, they were able to return it to the Apple Store within 14 days and get a new one. So it really wasn't that big of an issue. Alan said, what do you think of the student deal for Apple? You get $200 off a MacBook Air and free Beats. That's an amazing deal. I didn't even know that. They're offering $200 off and free Beats? That's like the best student deal ever. Take advantage of it. That's great. Venkat said, hey Greg, love from India. I appreciate the love. They said, what is your least favorite Apple product? My least favorite Apple product, if we're talking hardware, that's really a hard question. Maybe the iPod Shuffle. The iPod Shuffle was like the least amazing Apple product ever. I mean, it was convenient because it was so small. And then eventually it came with a built-in clip, so you could clip it to your clothes and then take it with you. But it was essentially like a thumb drive with buttons. Sheldon Williams, thank you for that third $2 super chat. I really appreciate it. He said, your apartment looks aesthetically beautiful. Thank you so much. I recently moved into this condo, and it's my first place that's actually really nice, and I invested to decorate it well because I'm going to be living here for a long time since I bought it. It's not an apartment. I'm not renting. So I appreciate that. Chugi Studio 1 asked, what are your thoughts on iOS 13? iOS 13 came pre-installed on my new iPhone, and I have to say, I love dark mode. I love dark mode. And the refinements they made to iOS 13 are incredible. And what I really appreciate is that iOS 13 will automatically switch from light mode to dark mode depending on the time of day, which is awesome. Just like night shift, which I've always wanted. So I love iOS 13. Septic said, have you received hate before? I mean, I've received criticisms that I'm too biased to Apple, or I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't get criticized that much, which is surprising. EV Studios said, hey Greg, I'm in the market for a new phone to upgrade from my iPhone 6, but I'm on a budget. What is your budget? If your budget is like $500, get the iPhone 10. If your budget is like $200, get the iPhone 7. Jave Psych 1264 said, why did reverse wireless charging not make it to the iPhone 11 series? I know that the hardware is already in there, but it's disabled by software. Yeah, so if you guys didn't know, iFixit did a teardown of the new iPhone models and discovered that there is some hardware in there that suggests reverse wireless charging would have been released on the iPhone 11. But that Apple changed their mind and decided to not enable it through the software. No one really knows why, but it may have something to do with the fact that they couldn't implement the technology in time, or the technology didn't work well with certain devices, or it affected the battery life of the iPhone too significantly. I mean, there's a lot of different variables that could have gone on in that. I think it may be a feature we see next year. Ibrahim said, how does night mode work on the iPhone 11 with a slow shutter without blurry photos if there was a moving subject? I think it may be blurry if the subject is moving. If the subject is moving, it will be blurry. So you're going to want to use it where a subject is not moving. Lucas said, do you think they're going to put the headphone jack back in the iPhone? No. Apple will not be putting the headphone jack back. Theodore said, what's that you're drinking? This is just water. Someone asked, why didn't Apple go for the iPhone XS camera design for the iPhone 11, since the iPhone 11 still has dual cameras? Because number one, they wanted the design to match across all models. So the iPhone 11 design should match the iPhone 11 Pro design. Also, I think they just wanted the camera module to look different and to match the iPhone 11 Pro, so they made it a square, even though they didn't necessarily have to make it a square. Someone asked, where did you get the spicy noodles you're trying to find? They're from Kroger. Someone said, will iOS 14 be big next year? I mean, I don't really think it's going to be any bigger than this year. It's just going to be your typical iOS update. I don't think there's going to be like a user interface change or anything. Jackson said, do you think the 2020 iPhone will have no notch? I believe the 2020 iPhone will have a smaller notch. I'm not sure if they're going to get rid of it, but I think it'll be smaller. Venkat asked, what's your favorite Apple product? My favorite Apple product is my iPhone. I just love the iPhone. I use it all the time. It's an incredible product. Every time I use the iPhone, I'm just reminded how incredible it really is, how much I love it. Especially because I grew up before the cell phone era. Like when I grew up, cell phones weren't really a thing. It wasn't until I was in middle school that like flip phones became popular, and then the slide out phones became popular, and then eventually smartphones became popular. But the way the iPhone just changed the world, like literally the world, it changed so many industries, is really incredible. Please don't spam questions. If you're spamming questions, I will not answer it intentionally. Robert Tran said, how's your day? You know what? I had a really good day. This afternoon, I just picked up my Tesla Model 3. That was really exciting. My parents and my brother came with me to that. And then I went over to my parents' house to have some pizza. My dad makes pizza for us. So that was a lot of fun. They got to test drive the Tesla with me. And then I watched the OSU football game. We have a college here called the Ohio State University, and they had a football game today. We watched that as a family. And then I came back home, and then I immediately got this live stream set up. So I'm having a nice, busy, productive day. Thank you for asking. Diremude Costello said, since you're bi, do you get equal attention from guys and girls? I don't think I really get attention from anyone. I'm not that social. I don't go to bars or clubs or anything. But I'm more interested in guys than girls, typically. Jabin Winkle said, would you work at Apple? That really depends on what job Apple is offering. I mean, I applied 4 times in the past or I didn't apply, I was invited to 4 group events at my local Apple retail store because I wanted to work at my Apple store, at my local Apple store. But I never got an interview from those group hiring events. And today I would not work at the Apple store because I'm making a lot more money and enjoying my job on YouTube a lot more than that. So if Apple would want me to work at like their corporate location in California, they'd have to offer me a lot of money because I wouldn't be able to do YouTube anymore. And I really love doing YouTube. I never want to stop. All right, guys, I'm going to be on for about 5 more minutes, and then the stream will end, and then I'll go to my Discord server and answer any leftover questions that you guys have. I'm Infamous said, what kind of pizza? It's homemade. My dad makes it. Meme Gang 2% said, which Apple product is the most beautiful to you? I honestly think the iMac G4 is one of Apple's most stunning products. EV Studios said, I want to upgrade my iPhone 6, but I'm on a budget of $650 max. Buy the iPhone 10. You can get an iPhone 10 for $500 now, and that's well under your budget, and it'll be a huge upgrade. Ezra asked, if you started a company, what would it be? I've kind of already started a company. I mean, Apple Explained is like a media company. And you know, what I would really like to do is create a website. I know I have a website, appleexplained.com, but it's a website for my YouTube channel and there's really nothing on it. I would love to create a website that just has a whole bunch of information about Apple, like an Apple encyclopedia. I think that would be incredible. But I would have to invest a lot in, people to maintain the website, to update the website, to write all the information out. So maybe that'll happen a few years from now. Lucas asked, do you think Apple's going to put the home button back in? No, they are done with the home button. Brandon asked, what's your favorite color of the iPhone 11? I mean, white is always my favorite color of iPhones, so I'm going to have to say white, but I really loved the red. The red was a nice, deep, rich color that I really liked. Mr. Dingus said, I want to find a cheap but good MacBook on eBay. What kind should I get? Look into a 2017 MacBook Air. Lucas said, what country are you from? I'm from America. I live in Columbus, Ohio. She's he. Thank you so much again for your second $2 super chat. They said, think you can start an Apple museum. I actually thought about that. I've always been collecting Apple products. And I thought, man, it would be really cool if I could have like a convention with just a whole bunch of old Apple products and Apple fans and have, invite people to talk from the Apple community or the tech community. I always thought that would be a cool thing. But again, it's going to take a lot of time, money, and resources and people. That would just be a whole big endeavor. Dane asked, do you think next year's iPhone will be USB-C? I'm almost certain next year's iPhone will be USB-C, and I'm really looking forward to it. Don't Ask said, why do you talk about Android when your channel is called Apple Explained? I've said this a few times before. I don't want to limit myself to just Apple topics. I do focus on Apple for the majority of my videos, but I also want to talk about other tech topics that I'm interested in or that I have an opinion about, or if I think people need a different perspective, I would like to offer that. Ellie said, I like your hair. Thank you. I just got a haircut a few days ago. Hassan said, can we expect an under-display Touch ID in the next iPhone? There are rumors that Apple's going to include a fingerprint reader in the display in next year's iPhone, so we may see that. Lucas said, should I get the iPhone 10 or 10R? I recommend the iPhone 10. Mech asked, do you use a screen protector on your iPhone? No, I do not use screen protectors. I only use an Apple case. All right, I am going to answer one more question and then I'm going to end the stream. Remember to join our Discord to ask your final question and I will answer it after this stream ends. Abdi asked, why does Apple and Vivo copy, or I'm sorry, why does Samsung and Vivo copy Apple? It's because Apple is a trendsetter. And it's because they create products and features that enhance the user experience. They don't add gimmicks to try and sell a phone. They only add features that will be truly beneficial to their users, which is why they implement unique features that people end up copying. All right, guys, thank you so much for being with me on this live stream. I apologize for the technical difficulty I had with the camera. I apologize with the lag. If you want to get your final question answered, be sure to join our Discord server. Our moderator, Daniel, should drop that link in the live chat for you to join. And I hope to see you there. I'll be posting the Q&A video right after this ends. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks again for watching. And next week, I will be doing the same live stream, same time, Saturday night. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great weekend.